I'm happy. All warning lights are off. We're back to normal. Don't know how long that will be, but we're gonna give it a go. After some problems with my pump, I am finally in the field getting it done. It was not the pump on my sprayer, it was my transfer pump to take the nitrogen out of the tank and transfer it into my sprayer. I had started it a couple days ago and I put some new gas in it, started it, seemed to run okay. Well, when I put it onto the nitrogen tank to start transferring nitrogen, it ran about, I don't know, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Then it would cut off, and I had to keep shooting ether to it to keep it running. I'm like, there's something going on here. Oh my God. When I pulled the carburetor bowl off, it was just full of sludge, brown, yucky crap. And I started cleaning that up and then realized the gas tank was full of this crap. I guess this frickin' ethanol fuel over time just turns everything to crap. It was a brown and black, yucky, it was a mess in there. And I ended up just draining everything out, and I kept pouring some more gas and shaking the tank a little bit and draining and blowing, and I was, a little bit of a track there. I left a little bit of a track. I was about an hour getting that thing cleaned out, but it seems to be running okay now. That's the only thing I can attribute it to, because I always use good gas when I fill it up. The top always stays on it, so I guess just over time the gas, that ethanol just turns to crap. Don't you love this modern day society with ethanol gas and DEF fluid and DPF and oh God. Let's go back to the 70s when inflation was 17% and we could get leaded gas for 25 cents a gallon that didn't screw everything up, when people could smoke wherever they wanted to, even in the cars with their kids and in church, at the airports, on the plane. Yeah, let's go back to the 70s when life was simpler and everybody was happy. This nitrogen should green this stuff up. We've got a chance of rain tomorrow afternoon, so the timing should be good on this. Get this nitrogen on, get the rain on it, get it in the ground and get it working. We've got a yellowish tint to it now. We're about 2 weeks late getting this stuff on, but it just would not dry out enough to get out on the field. I don't think I've mentioned anything about my trip on this channel. I will have a video come out at some point and put it on my other channel, which is called A Farmer Travels. So if you haven't seen that channel and you want to see my home movies from our vacations, then subscribe to that channel, A Farmer Travels. So eventually I'll get a video put out there, but had a great time. I'm glad I went. I was somewhat concerned about going initially because after my friend had his stroke, his English is very limited as far as him speaking it, and I do not speak any Finnish. I know a few words, mainly the bad words, and so I was concerned on how this was going to work out. Before going over, I had looked into the Apple, or they call AirPods, the things you put in your ears to listen to music, because my neighbor got a new pair and he said they now interpret real-time foreign languages for you. And I thought, oh, this would be great. He works with some Spanish guys, and he can now pick up some of the words they're saying on the job site by wearing his AirPods. So I said, hey, this would be good. I'll get a pair of AirPods to take with me so I can understand what my friend is saying. Well, AirPods are limited in the languages they interpret, and Finnish is not one of them, so I did not get a new set of AirPods. Well, he ended up having an interpreter with him for the first 2 days I was there, because his wife was at work and his daughter was at school. So the medical system over there actually pays for some, for lack of a better term, home health care. I guess that's the best way to put it. For the most part, he's very independent. He's lost the use of his right side, so his right arm, hand, leg, he's lost use of that, but he can still walk and get around fine. His Finnish language, he's sometimes a little bit slow with that, but he can say some English words, and we were able to conversate a little bit. And so that was my concern going over. But with the interpreter that he had, that is paid for by the government, along with, since he cannot drive, he also gets a driver that when he needs to go somewhere, he can call up a driver, and his own personal taxi driver, for lack of a better word, I guess, to come pick him up and take him where he needs to go. And I think he said the government will pay like 18 times per month for the driver, and what did he tell me, was it 80 hours per month for this home health care person? So in this case, he used this person to interpret for him while I was there. So the interpreter, his driver, and him met me at the airport to take me home. And so then once we got home, we said goodbye to his driver, and then he handed me the keys to his car and said, okay, let's go. So I hadn't been there an hour, and I was in his car driving him around and the interpreter, and we went down to the local pub, got something to eat. I had a drink. Apparently, drinking and driving over there is a no-no. Who would have thought? Some of the drunkest people in the world, and you can't drink and drive over there. So their laws are, I guess, a whole lot stricter than our laws. So we have a 0.08 limit, and I think their limit is only, it's either 0.04 or 0.05, so about half of our limit. When we finished eating, and I had one drink, and we go out to the car, he looks at me, and he gives me this look, and he was able to get a few words out, basically saying, are you okay to drive? I'm like, I only had one drink. Hell, back in the States, I can have 3 or 4 drinks and get in the car and drive and get home and I'm okay. Well, maybe I'm not, but I make it home. So their fines over there are based on your income. So if you get stopped for speeding or drunk driving or whatever, they look at your income and then they fine you based on how much money you make. So I told him, look, I'll be out of the country before they can figure out how much I make, and so I'll be fine. But yeah, that was a big deal. So yeah, that's a no-no over there. Don't have even one drink and get in the car and drive, because if you get caught, I guess they're going to cart you off to jail and take all of your money along with it. So then the next day, his daughter, who was in high school, she stayed home from school. So my friend, and the interpreter went into downtown Helsinki and did some looking around down there, got something to eat, just had a nice leisurely day down there. And it did surprise me. We did a lot of walking when we got into downtown Helsinki, and he walked. He uses a cane, but he kept on going, never complained. I was very impressed. The other thing that impressed me was their library. They just built a new library in Helsinki, and my initial thought was, who the hell builds libraries anymore? That's like outdated. Nobody reads books and nobody goes to a library. And then when I got there and saw the outside of it, this thing is huge. This thing is Trump huge, I tell you. Huge. Look it up. Helsinki Library. Then we went inside, and oh my God, talk about thinking outside of the box with this library. There were a lot of people in there. It was more than just a library. They had video game rooms in there where you could go in and sit at a table, and what did I see in one room? probably 8 or 10 computers, and you could go in there and game with other kids or adults. And that room was filled up with people. There was a music room, a recording studio. They actually had instruments there that you could take out on loan for the day and go into a music room. I'm getting ready to get into a little bit of mud here. Let's see if I break a track. No, I'm okay here. If I'd have gone over there a little bit, I would have gotten stuck. Or at least made a mess. Yeah, music rooms you could go in. I think you could even record music if you wanted, but yeah, you could rent guitars and saxophones or whatever. Not rent, they were free. Just check them out for the day, use them there, practice your music, record some music. They had 3D printers there, and I think that was free, where you could go and experiment with 3D printers, or if you already know what you're doing but don't have a 3D printer, you could go there and print your projects out. Board games, I saw groups of people sitting down playing board games. They had, hold on, let me get this phone. I've got a mulch delivery coming to the store this evening, so I guess he's about an hour away, so I will be done with this spraying by then, so I can go up to the store and unload it, because my daughter, she's already off. It's almost 4:30 now, so she should have already left the store, so I'm not gonna make her unload it today. I'll do that. Actually, hold on. She just answered me. I told her it was coming. Let's see what she said here. Okay, she's got to move a few pallets around to make room for it. We didn't really have room for another load right now, but we were already out of some different types, so we had to go ahead and get this load in right now. Back to the library in Helsinki. Of course, there were still a lot of people there just sitting by themselves on their cell phones or on their computers, reading, texting, doing whatever. They did have a nice cafe in there that you could buy drinks, snacks, different things. I think this thing was 3 stories tall. So as I said, there was a lot going on in this library. I really was impressed. I enjoyed my visit there. In fact, the interpreter, this was his first time going in there, and while we were there, he went and got a library card. He said, wow, I'm impressed with this. I've got to come back here. So he went right to the desk and got his library card so he could come back and check things out. The weather was actually pretty good. I had been watching the weather forecast the week before leaving, and it looked like it was going to be like 40 degrees with some rain. It didn't look real appealing, but you know, I wasn't going for the good weather, and I knew that by going to Finland in March, you weren't going to get perfect weather. So the day I got there, it was raining a little bit, about 40 degrees. That wasn't too bad. But Friday when we were in Helsinki, wow, it was nice. The sun was out, about 45 degrees. Saturday, sun was out again, close to 50 degrees. It was about the same temperature as it was back here at the time as well. I got to do the sauna and icy lake thing on Saturday. We went to this hunting cabin out on a lake somewhere. Actually, as we were going to it, I told him and his wife, this was a place that people went to and got murdered in the woods, and nobody ever found them again, because we just kept driving and driving, and it was back off the beaten path. But I didn't get murdered, and I got out of there alive. But like any good Finnish place on the lake, cabin on the lake, you're gonna have a sauna. And so I had some nice fish soup. Actually, it was salmon soup. I had never had that before. That was very good. I don't know why we don't have that here in the States. Look it up, salmon soup. Very simple, but very good. So then the sauna was heated by a wood stove, so we went in the sauna, jumped in the icy lake. Yeah, there was still ice on the lake, but because the Finns really like their sauna, at the end of the dock, they keep a pump running in the water, just a small pump to keep that water circulating, so you have enough of a hole in the ice that you can jump in after going in the sauna. And so yeah, I did that. That was very refreshing. And then Sunday, left out of there, flew into Iceland, spent the night in Keflavik, Iceland, which is about 40 minutes from Reykjavik, but this is where the airport is. So I rented a car there in Iceland because it was cheaper than taking a taxi to the hotel and back to the airport. So I rented a car there, stayed overnight, found a local restaurant, had a nice dinner, did a little bit of exploring around the town there. Now, it was cold in Iceland. It was only about 30 or 35 degrees. There was still some snow on the ground. There was a little bit of snow on the ground in Finland as well. But yeah, Iceland, snow on the ground, windy. Oh my God, that wind must have been blowing 30 to 50 miles an hour. It was just plain cold there. But the sun came out, so that was good. When I landed, it was cloudy, and I thought, oh man, nobody's going to see the Northern Lights tonight, because there were some people in the hotel that I stayed at that were there to see the Northern Lights. And I thought, you're not going to see them tonight. But darn it, the clouds, before the sun went down, the clouds cleared, and I believe the Northern Lights were visible. I did not get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go look. I'll go back to Iceland another time for that. So on Monday, a couple hours before it was time to go to the airport, about an hour before the airport, my daughter sent a text message to me and said, you may be staying another day in Iceland. She said, we are supposed to get some bad storms this evening, and they're closing schools, and the base was closing early. They were letting people go home early from their jobs. She said, it's supposed to be bad. And she said, it's supposed to come through right about the time you're supposed to be landing in Baltimore. I'm like, I haven't gotten any notice from the airline yet. So I went to the airport like I normally would. Plane took off on time. And then when we got into Baltimore, we ended up circling the airport probably twice. So we were about 20 to 30 minutes late landing because of this storm moving through. But then once I landed, luckily the storm was not as bad as they had predicted. So it was kind of a wolf call there. So that was good, because they were expecting tornadoes and high winds, damaging winds and all of that. And they, at least down here, they did not get it. I did have a little bit of wind on my way home from the airport and a little bit of rain, but nothing like it was supposed to be. So all in all, a very good trip. A short trip, quick trip, just a weekend thing, but I had a good time, and I'm glad I went, glad I did it. All right, that was a lot of me babbling there while I'm spraying this wheat, but I'm just about done now. One more pass here and I will be done. And I only had like one little place there that I broke through. Otherwise, it was okay out here. I had two or three places that just made a little track, but I'm okay with that. That was good. I think the truck is going to get to the store before I get there, but I've got to finish spraying this wheat. I'll only be about 15 minutes late, but we have a chance of rain coming in tomorrow. I thought it was supposed to be tomorrow evening, but I just looked at the forecast and no, it's a chance of it before 12 o'clock tomorrow. So I'm going to make the truck driver wait about 15 minutes so I can finish spraying here. One of the things I forgot to mention during my trip to Finland, one of the other Finnish things I did was go to a hockey game. So we went to a local hockey game on Friday night, met one of my friend's cousins there, and got to experience a local hockey game. So that was enjoyable. I did enjoy that. Just overall, a great trip. I would go back in a heartbeat and do it again on just take a weekend and visit. The flight was easy to get there. I flew Iceland Air, so it was about a 5.5 hour flight to Keflavik, Iceland, with a 1 hour layover, and then a 3 hour flight from Keflavik into Helsinki. Darn it, I got talking and I forgot to turn one boom on, so I got to go back here now and make this pass. When I left Baltimore that Wednesday evening, We were delayed about maybe a half an hour to 45 minutes because of a thunderstorm that was rolling in about the time we were supposed to take off. So I got a little bit concerned because I only had a 1 hour layover in Keflavik to get my next flight. So by the time we landed in Iceland, I had like 15 or 20 minutes to get to my next flight. Since I was landing in a foreign country, I had to go through passport control and they had to check my passport. So that added a little time to it. Well, I overheard the woman in the row across from me talking about she does this flight a lot apparently, and she says you're not going to miss the connection because they're going to wait for you. Iceland Air, you know, I flew Iceland Air the entire way, so they know how many people are transferring and how many people are getting on the flight, and so they said they will wait for you. Anyhow, I got behind her and we just hauled ass running to passport control. Luckily that line was quick since we were not entering Iceland. We were just entering Europe. Hold on, I've got to reset my monitor here. I'm switching fields. So we just hauled ass. Got through passport control in less than 3 minutes probably. And while I was standing in the line for passport control, I heard over the intercom they were paging a certain person for the flight that I was going to for Helsinki, and they said, "We are boarding now, you need to get to the gate." And I'm like, oh hell, if they're paging that person to get him there, then I need to take off. Well, I lost the woman. She got in a different line than I did, so I didn't see her. And when I got out of that line, of course I had to go all the way to the other end of the terminal. I just started running as fast as I could. And this old man, he's too damn old and too fat to be running through the airport. And I could see the gate at the end of the terminal there where I had to go to, the very last one. And there was a woman standing there from Iceland Air, a representative, and she said, "You don't need to run, you're good, you're okay, we're gonna wait for you, slow down." Well, we had to get on a bus, and they had to take us out to the tarmac to get on the plane. And my God, it was cold. Oh, it was cold that morning. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I was tired as hell because it was only, 3 o'clock in the morning our time, 4-hour time difference, yeah. And I was out of breath, so I had to go downstairs and wait to get on the bus, and I was out of breath. So that woman was standing there in front of me. She had got there before me, and she said, "They're gonna wait. They know how many people are coming here." So sure enough, we got on the bus, and the person they were paging, he finally showed up, and we still had, I think, 2 more people that we were waiting for. So there was only 5 of us on the bus. Everybody else was already on the plane. So those 2 people showed up and we took off. So we were probably, I don't know, 30 minutes late taking off from there. But I made it, but it was stressful. But I will know going forward when I do this that they will wait for me. I am finished with the wheat. 20 minutes to 6. That mulch should be at the store, so I am headed up there now to unload that. Well, looks like the mulch is here and he's just taking the straps off, so I'm just in time. Truck is unloaded. We've got it stacked up here everywhere. We had to take up some of our parking spots to have enough room for it, but it's done. It's, what is it? It's not quite 6:30. I think my day is done. Time to go home and get a shower and get something to eat. It's Thursday evening. Normally we go out to the restaurant/bar, but I'm not doing that this evening. I'm wrapping it up and I'm gonna say, see ya!